Hey everyone, so I have been looking around the internet on YouTube and I haven't been able to find a single person that has replaced this shifter seal on a Yamaha Timberwolf. So my shifter seal is leaking, and unfortunately the way that this motor is set up, I of course have my motor out of the quad right now, so I have it tipped over and leaning on its side. But how this output shaft is built, it's actually sitting behind this, and I've already removed my plastic cover, so I'm just going to set that aside. But yeah, as you can see, it sits behind this cover here. So I'm going to have to remove all of these Phillips head screws. Then I'm going to come through and remove the shifter linkage for front to reverse. Then I'm going to remove all of the Allen keys or Allen bolts that are 5mm Allen bolts. I think I have to remove these, which look like they're 13mm if I'm not mistaken. And then I should be able to slide this casing off. I'll also have to remove the bolt for the crank. Slide this side of the casing off, and then slide this output shaft mechanism off, because this sits right on the shaft to give it support. I'm not sure if it really needs all that, but there's not really a way around it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing to replace this seal. While I have this all apart, I'm also going to be replacing the U-joint. It doesn't seem bad, but this U-joint is 30-something years old, and just want to make sure that it's going to last another 30 years. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is start by taking out all the Phillips and removing the 10mm bolt here to remove the steering linkage. I think I might even remove the 3 Allen keys so I could take this off and clean it up a little bit more. So let's get started with that. Alright, so luckily I just was able to use this larger Phillips head screwdriver, which has some junk on the end of it. And all of my Phillips head screws came loose. So I'm able to just take all these guys out for this side cover. Now I'm going to remove my 10mm and my Allen keys for these the shifter mechanism. So it turns out that the back Allen key was a little bit larger. I think it was a 6mm instead of a 5mm, and this one definitely went into the case. And then this was the little 10mm that went right here onto this little shaft. And as you can see, my whole mechanism is free now, so I'm just gonna set that aside here. And so the larger Allen key is actually your timing window, so that you can check for top dead center if you're going to line up your timing marks for setting up your timing chain. Okay, so like I said, all my Phillips came out no problem. It looks like there's some RTV or something on these bolts, so maybe somebody's been in here before. You can also see some right here. So now I'm going to take my 17mm and I'm going to take this bolt out for the crank. Alright. And just set this aside. And this guy should, yep, slide out. Nice. There's the crank. Alright, and then this seal still looks good and is soft and rubbery. So I've got all my screws out. I should be able to pop this guy off. Alright, so as you can see, I just lifted this side of the case off. You can see my stator, my flywheel, my starting gears. I'm just kind of inspecting everything while I have this apart and just kind of looking around, make sure everything looks good. The oil smells kind of old, which I already know. It's like 15-year-old oil. So yeah, so now I should be able to take off the Allen keys for this mechanism and pop this thing off. I'm also going to make sure to clean off the backside of this, because as you can see, I've already dropped a little bit of dirt down to the motor. I am going to do an oil change after I do this process, because I'm obviously going to have the whole side of the motor open and apart. So let's get started on pulling out these Allen keys. All right, so all of my Allen keys bolts are coming out except for this one, of course, that my socket is like a little bit too fat and it runs into the shifter mechanism for the reverse, and I don't want to strip out the last one, so I'm being really careful with this one. Alright, with a little Allen key modification and grinding, I was able to get that out. So it still feels like this is on there pretty solidly, so I am going to remove these 4 bolts that I believe are 13 millimeters. Alright, those 4 bolts, although they looked a little bit rusty and crusty, they came out, they were actually 12 millimeters. So I've got all my Allen keys out, Allen bolts out, and so I believe if I just rock this back and forth, yep, you can see it's splitting and it's moving around a little bit. So let's try to pick up. Oh, they're 2 pieces. So maybe I want to put those 2 bolts back in on the bottom side, because it doesn't look like I have to remove the front shaft. We'll see. Alright, so I rethreaded these bolts in just by finger, and yeah, as you can see, I can just kind of wiggle and jiggle and pick up this side of the shaft mechanism. Alright, there we go. There's my shift fork for forward to reverse. Here's my gears. Gonna be inspecting them, but they look good from up here. I'm obviously going to be cleaning off all my gasket surfaces. This has an O-ring that I'm not going to touch. I'm not getting any leakage there, so I'm just gonna clean things all up. I have this gasket surface to clean up as well, and let's pop this seal out. All right, so yeah, I'm just inspecting all my gears in here, spinning everything. All the teeth look very good. No crazy wear on anything. And so now I'm going to just basically use a pick and poke into the seal like this, and then just pry the seal up. So let me get this thing in there. All right, so I basically just tapped the tip in very gently as to not poke into the side where the seal rides or onto the shaft where the seal rides. I'm right dead center on that seal, and now I'm just kind of prying very gently. You can kind of see this whole seal is just slowly walking out, and it's also leaking oil, you can see. So yeah, I'm just very gently prying on the seal and trying to get it to walk up and out. So now I'm going to poke in this way and see if I can try to pry up this side. Alright, so now I have it in the other way, and I'm just doing the same thing, just gently prying on that seal. Just trying to walk the seal up and out. Very slowly and very gently. Just working it back and forth. Boop. There we go. There it is. There's the culprit. Alright, so just making sure I got the whole thing out. As you can see, the spring is in there, and yeah, I didn't scratch any of the surfaces. What I'm going to do now is just clean out in there to make sure I don't have any debris before I put the new seal. Alright, so I have my new seal. I have lubed the shaft so that I don't run the seal down dry. I've also lubed up the inner part of the seal so that on first startup it doesn't get any dry start. And now what I'm going to do is just basically gently push this in. And I've got it started basically just with my fingers. Now I'm just going to use a little tap and some pliers on either side like this and just tap down so that it's flush. Alright, so all I did was put my pliers gently around, ensuring not to scratch the shaft, and just gently tapped around with my hammer to slowly push that seal into place. And as you can see, it is fully seated and I'm fully flush all the way around. So now I can redo the process that I just showed you about taking everything apart. I was going to, yeah, and I still might actually. I think I'm going to remove these 2 bolts and do this U-joint out of the vehicle real quick. Alright, so the U-joints are just like any other U-joint replacement. They've got the little groove in the cup and the C-clip sits in there, so you basically just put your screwdriver on the edge of the clip and pop it out with a hammer hit. And so now I'm just going to pound these guys out and pound the new ones in. My phone's about to die, so yeah, I'm going to replace this U-joint and then start the reassembly process of putting this all back together. First thing I have to do is scrape everything, clean it all off. I got some acetone to clean things off. And yeah, we're going to be starting the assembly process, of course. Alright, so I finished everything up, kind of. I was doing the U-joint, and unfortunately the new U-joint slips in and out, like with your fingers in and out of the yoke. So it's obviously not the right size because I didn't even have to press the new one in and out. So I've got a new one of those on the way. I still obviously have to finish putting the new U-joint in. And so I put this side of the case on. I put this side of the case on. I tightened down my 17mm bolt. I reinstalled my shifter linkage. I've got black RTV in between everything. And for some reason, when I put it in first gear, I can't get it to go into reverse. So I'm not really sure if I did something wrong here, but basically I can't get it to go into reverse, and it should go into reverse. But I've got my seal good down here and replaced. I've got my 4 12mm bolts tightened up back here. So I think I'm going to put it back in and hope for the best. If anybody else has had this issue, please let me know. After you've put things back together, basically there's 2 gears that run on this input shaft, or I guess it's an output shaft, and then there's a gear here that spins like this and runs those 2 gears. Then there's a collar in between those 2 gears that is controlled by this shift linkage with a shift fork. So that collar should shift back and forth on this shaft to engage reverse or forward. So what I've got going on is this is not moving at all, so it's not sliding that collar in between first and reverse. So I'm not sure what my issue is. I think I put everything back together how it was supposed to be. It's kind of hard to mess it up. It was kind of hard to finagle everything to put it back together, but basically I just had to tap here for everything to like kind of mesh together while I was spinning this. I also had to shift it into first so that the pin for the reverse gear select would line up with a hole. So if you look down the hole for where the shaft is, there is a block, and so you have to have it in first gear and rotate the shaft a little bit, and you'll hear it go click, and that will reveal where there's a port, and that shaft will be able to slide down. If you don't have that port open, you won't be able to put this side of the case on. So yeah, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. I'm going to throw this into the frame once I get it painted, and hopefully we've got working forward and reverse. Fingers crossed.